Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. An extended conversation with Jessica Leeds. Now, in a different world, you might know her as a single mom who, in her words, raised 2 children while successfully navigating a mostly male, often sexist workplace. You might know her as the lady from your book club who writes letters to the editor and always votes. However, in this world right now, Jessica Leeds, age 74, is known and will be known as one of several women who've just come forward claiming Donald Trump kissed them or groped them without their consent. In Mrs. Leeds' case, she says, aboard an airliner in the late 1970s. She is, she says, the woman who, when Donald Trump saw her again several years later, called her, quote, that blank from the plane. Only he didn't use the word blank. We'll play that interview for you in a moment. For his part, Donald Trump, who's campaigning tonight in Cincinnati, denies the allegations, which he's now claiming are part of a media conspiracy against him. He's promising to sue the New York Times, which broke Ms. Leeds' story. He seems to be suggesting another accuser of People magazine writer is too unattractive to grope.
Take a look. You take a look. Look at her words. You tell me what you think. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Again, Donald Trump is in Cincinnati tonight, so is CNN's Sarah Murray. So what exactly did Donald Trump say about the allegations today?
Well, Anderson, so far tonight, Donald Trump has not addressed this, but he was clearly very angry, very agitated by these allegations as he was campaigning across the country today. Earlier today, he said the allegations were totally and absolutely false. He essentially called the women who lobbed these allegations against him liars, and he's been questioning their credibility throughout the day, even appearing to suggest at one point that one of the women was not attractive enough to be worthy of his attention. Now, this is particularly interesting, Anderson, because it comes at a time when the Trump campaign is arguing that all of the women who accused Bill Clinton of sexual misconduct during the 1990s deserve to be believed, and not only that, but that Bill Clinton as well as Hillary Clinton should be held accountable. Now, obviously, we'll be listening here to see if Donald Trump does bring up these allegations again here tonight, or if he sticks to the issues, as his campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, has repeatedly said she hopes he will. Back to you, Anderson.
All right, Sarah Murray, Sarah, thanks very much. Now my conversation with Jessica Leeds, who decided to come forward after seeing Donald Trump at the debate in St. Louis, answering this question. We received a lot of questions online, Mr. Trump, about the tape that was released on Friday. As you can imagine, you called what you said locker room banter. You described kissing women without consent, grabbing their genitals. That is sexual assault. You bragged that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. I apologize to my family. I apologize to the American people. Certainly, I'm not proud of it. But this is locker room talk.
So, Mr. Trump,
we should get on to much more important things and much bigger things.
Just for the record, though, are you saying that what you said on that bus 11 years ago, that you did not actually kiss women without consent or grope women without consent?
I have great respect for women. Nobody has more respect for women than I do.
So for the record, you're saying you never did that?
I said things that, frankly, you hear these things are said. And I was embarrassed by it, but I have tremendous respect for women.
Have you ever done those things?
Women have respect for me. And I will tell you, no, I have not.
Well, Jessica Leeds, as you'll hear her say, concedes that what she's alleged happened a long time ago. As you'll also hear her say, it left a mark. We spoke late today. So when was the first time you saw Donald Trump?
I was on an airplane coming back to New York, where my car was parked, and I was asked by the stewardess, would I like to come up and sit in first class?
Where were you flying from?
You know, 35 years ago, I believe it was Dallas. I believe it was Braniff Airlines. It was a 707, which is, of course, it's much smaller airplane than what's flying today. But I was asked, would I like to come up to first class? Well, Braniff had great food. Even in the coach section, they had great food. So, but I came up and I was seated in the first aisle seat in the first row.
Do you know why she picked you to come up?
I'm sorry?
Do you know why the flight attendant picked you to come up?
Well, I sort of made a judgment after the whole scene happened that the stewardess brought me up for entertainment value. That if I was entertaining Mr. Trump, then he was out of her hair. I'm making that assessment again. But he introduced himself. I think we shook hands.
Did you know who he was?
I did not know Donald Trump from a hole in the wall. I did not know New York. I did not know New York real estate. This was in 1979. So, no, I was unaware, but as I said, he introduced himself, Donald Trump. I sat down. They served a very nice dinner or meal, and after it was all cleared, then he became inappropriate.
I think you said in the New York Times article that he asked you if you were married.
Yes, he did. He did. And I wasn't at that time. I had 2 kids to take care of, but I was divorced.
And were you talking during the meal?
Yeah, we were chatting back and forth, and it was very innocuous. It was, generalities. It was nothing. He wasn't flirting, and I don't think I was flirting. We were just talking.
And then the meal finished.
Then the meal finished, and the stewardess cleared away the dishes and everything else like that. And it was like suddenly he's like encroaching on my side of the seat, and his hands were everywhere.
Did he say anything?
No, and I didn't either.
You didn't say anything to him?
I didn't say anything.
You say his hands were everywhere. Can you be specific?
Well, he was grabbing my breasts and trying to turn me towards him and kissing me, and then after a bit, that's when his hands started going. I was wearing a skirt, and his hands started going towards my knee and up my skirt, and that's when I said, I don't need this, and I got up.
Is that literally what you said?
I don't know if I said it out loud or whether, but
That's what you were thinking.
I do remember thinking the guy in the other seat. Why doesn't he say something? I mean,
could other people see?
The guy in the seat across the aisle could see, and I kept thinking, well, maybe the stewardess is going to come and he'll stop, but she never came.
Do you know how long that went on for?
Not real long, no. I would say just about 15 minutes? That's long enough.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Did he actually kiss you?
Yeah.
On the face or on the lips?
Wherever he could find a landing spot, yes.
And, 15 minutes is a very long time.
Well, it seemed like forever. So, but I got up, got my bag, and I went back to the coach section. And I went all the way back to the tail of the airplane, the last seat in the last aisle, and sat down. And when the plane landed, I made sure that I was the last person off the plane.
Because?
I didn't want to run into him.
Did, at any point, you say anything to the flight attendant? Or?
No. We didn't. Women didn't at that point. I don't even know if they do it now, but no. If I complained to my boss, he would have said, but that's the rigors of the road. You're a traveling sales rep.
That's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is.
And this was, you're saying,
I think it was 1979.
Do you remember the actual date or anything like that?
No.
Do
No.
you remember what time of year it was?
I want to say fall.
Did you ever tell people at that time? Anybody?
No.
Friends?
No. Didn't tell my boss, didn't tell my coworkers, didn't tell the other women in my, we had secretaries, but I was the only woman traveling salesperson. No, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anybody.
And, some people hearing that might say, well, why wouldn't you say something?
Again, remember the time and the place. I felt fortunate to have this job. I was being paid very well.
You were the only woman sales rep.
That's right. It was a man's job, and I got it because the company wanted a token woman, and I was delighted to be that.
When you went back to coach and were sitting there, was your thinking, oh, this is just boys will be boys? Was your thinking of the time, or were you thinking this is assault?
Well, I was pretty shook up. Yeah, I remember being thankful that that it was quiet and it was, I could sort of get myself collected. But no, I didn't, as I said, I didn't ask the stewardess or complain to the stewardess. I didn't complain to the airlines. I didn't tell my boss about it. I didn't tell my family about it. It just was, that's some of the times that would happen on the road.
Did you ever see Donald Trump again in person?
Yeah, when I quit the paper company, I came to New York City and I got a job at the Humane Society on 59th Street. And yes, they had a fancy gala at Saks Fifth Avenue. And I got to go and represent the Humane Society because I had this fabulous dress, fabulous dress. And I got to hand out the tickets for the tables and everything else like that. It was a New York glittering night, and the women were dressed beautifully and everything. And up to the table comes Donald Trump. And I hand the ticket for his table, and he looks at me, and he says, "I remember you. You're the woman from the airplane." Now, he used another word.
What did he say?
It's obscene. It's obscene, and I don't want to go there. But he acknowledged me, and I.
So when he said you're the something from the airplane. Mm-hmm. So he was using a derogatory term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
As I recall it, I just said, "Here's your ticket. I hope you have a good evening." And I left pretty soon afterwards because I was thunderstruck. I was thunderstruck that he remembered me at all.
It's probably the last thing you expected to have happen.
Oh, God,
that
yes.
night.
Oh, yes. But at that time, I was aware that Donald Trump was very important in New York City because the Humane Society wanted all of the Trumps. They invited Robert Trump. They invited, whoever Trump. They wanted to make sure that people came to this event.
So that would have been what, 19?
I think it was 81. Mm-hmm. So it was a couple of years after I'd first run into him. So it was like I was really impressed that he remembered me.
And at that point, you knew who Donald Trump was?
Yes, yes.
So after the plane, after what you said happened on the plane, when did you start to realize who Donald Trump was? Do you remember?
When I came to New York City.
When you moved to New York.
Yeah, 81. Yeah.
Because he was big obviously in the early 80s in New York.
Yeah. I lived for a year in Florida, and he never came. His name never came up there. So.
Over the years, as you saw, his. The front page of the New York Post, and
his marriages, his ups and downs. Yes.
What did you think?
Well, he's one of these people that seems to attract fame, and what was it? Gail Collins that commented that she was during his breakup of his first marriage. She was called in from Florida to cover the Trump breakup, and it's like. It's just a divorce. Why are you having to put so many reporters on it? I mean, he attracts a lot of attention.
Did you think over the years, did you tell anybody, oh, look, the Donald Trump, I remember I had this encounter with him?
No, I didn't start telling my story until about a year and a half ago, when it became apparent that he was making a serious run for the presidency. And I would have an occasion to say to a group of friends, "Let me tell you my Trump story." Now, most of these friends were women. It was my book club. It was this club. It was neighbors and friends and everything. But a couple of men, my son-in-law, my son, friends, my nephew, the whole thing. And over the year and a half that I've been telling it, it's like it doesn't change it at all. It still infuriates me when I think about it, but that was a long time ago. It wasn't until Sunday night, and all of my friends would say, "Oh, you've got to You got to write this story up. You got to publish it. You got to contact somebody and make it known. And it's too long ago.
You didn't want to do that?
No, not particularly. I mean, it was too long ago. So, but when you, at the debate, well, the Friday night tapes, that whole bus scene was really annoying. And then the debate, when you specifically asked Trump, had he ever groped a woman, or I forget how you phrased it, and he said no.
Yeah, I asked him if he was just bragging about sexual assault, or if he had actually done what he said. Had he ever kissed a woman without consent? Had he ever groped a woman without consent?
And he said no. And I literally wanted to throw something at the TV or punch my hand in the TV. And that was Sunday night, and Monday morning I found myself writing an email, letter to the editor to the Times.
Something about him actually denying it on that stage.
Yes, that's it exactly.
What do you think it was about that moment that made you want to go public?
Because I really would like for the fact that he's lying, and he lies about so many things, really brought out. And yes, you did. You asked a very good question, but he's very good at, all of a sudden he was talking about ISIS, and he was talking about defense, and he was talking about this, that, and the other. So he manages to change the conversation. And sometimes I don't think he's even really aware of that he's lying. He's built up his defenses in his head to the extent that he doesn't know.
So you, in that moment, when you said you wanted to throw something at the screen, is that the moment you decided, you know what, I'm gonna go public with this?
I didn't sleep Sunday night thinking about what to do and how to do it. I got up, and on my email there were two friends who I had told the story, and they said, you know, you really should, because they had watched the debate, you really should say something. And I thought, okay, maybe this is time to do it. And it really amazed me that the Times called me back almost instantaneously.
Were you worried to come forward? You said you were up all night.
Yeah, trying to think, how should I tell this? How should I frame the story? How, you know, it wasn't really until I was reading the Monday morning newspaper, and I was thinking, oh, yes, I've emailed letters to the editor at the Times. I'm going to email them. But I was, you know, thinking he so infuriated me that. Were
you worried about wading into this very contentious presidential election?
No, I really didn't. And I am amazed, absolutely amazed at the reaction.
How so?
Well, when it escalated, I thought, well, the Times is going to rewrite my letter and publish it in the letters to the editor. And no, then they called me and did a phone interview. And then they asked if they could send somebody to interview me in person. And then they asked if they could do the video. And it's like, it was just escalating, and it was like, wow. And then I was out last night at a concert, and I had alerted my daughter that they were going to publish it online. And so when I came out from the concert, my phone, of course, I'd turned it off. My phone was buzzing all over the place, and there was my daughter saying, "Oh my God!" So that's when I saw the video, and then this morning, well, I haven't even finished reading the story yet. So I mean, I haven't even gotten to that point. That's how chaotic my life has been today.
You know, obviously, there's going to be criticism, and I'm sure you knew that going into it.
Criticism? I have made it. I'm not responding to. I'm not looking at emails that I don't recognize.
You're not watching television.
I'm not watching. I'm I know that there are people out there that this is a hot button issue for them, and they're angry, but I'm not going to wallow in that.
One of the things some people have suggested is that you're looking for fame. You're looking for 15 minutes of fame. I should point out, I interviewed a lot of people who come in with an entourage, who come in with a public relations person, who are looking to write a book. You don't have any entourage. You have no public relations person.
Well, I can't help but think that within the next 24 hours, Trump and Trump's organization will maneuver or create some sort of news story that's going to make mine all go away. But apparently there are a number of women who are now coming forward, so that's kind of rewarding. What do I want out of it? Or what do I expect out of it? It would be nice if some men could have some sort of inkling that their behavior leaves a mark, leaves a scar, leaves a lot of pain. And it may just be fun and games to them, but it's not for a lot of women.
Has this left a mark on you?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Oh, sure. But it was part of, I'm working, I'm gonna survive, we're gonna move on, and I'm gonna take care of my family, and I'm gonna try to enjoy what I enjoy. So, but, oh yeah, it leaves a mark.
Even though that's something that a lot of women still have to deal with, but certainly back then had to deal with it, and you at the time sort of thought, well, this is the cost of being on the road, but it hurts.
Yeah, well, I have hopes or aspirations that things are better for women working now. I'm not so sure. There was another letter that I wrote to the Times that was a response to a story they did about Ivana, where she had been whistled at by the construction workers at one of her father's hotels in the construction zone. Ivanka. But they were absolutely distraught when they discovered that she was the boss's daughter. And I'm thinking, she at least has the protection of it being she's the boss's daughter, when a lot of women out there don't have that, and they're subject to all sorts of ridicule and harassment. And they just have to steam through it.
What would you want to say to Donald Trump if you could? Her answer to that when we come back. Donald Trump calls the allegations outright lies. Jessica Leeds calls it her story, a story, she says, from a different time when women typically did not talk about men harassing them or trying to kiss or grab them. She did not tell her story back then. She's only telling it now, she says, because the man in question is running for president, and she says he's lying about his behavior towards women. Now, before the break, you heard that story. We also talked about how and whether she would confront Donald Trump today. What would you want to say to Donald Trump if you could?
Oh, wow. If I thought he could recognize, could hear, but his modus operandi, his character has been established. I think there was a piece in the newspaper about friends saying that he was this way in first grade. He's been this way his entire life. I don't believe he's going to change, and I resent some of the leadership that think that, oh, if he gets in, they can manipulate him. They won't be able to manipulate him. What you see is what you get.
So you're saying there's nothing you would want to say directly to him because you don't think he'd listen?
Exactly. I don't think he wouldn't listen, wouldn't hear.
What would you like him to know, though? about you, about...
I'm not the important one. I'm not important, but the culture of this kind of behavior, he's participated in it, and I'd like to see it stopped. I'd like to see it change. I'd like to see men grow up, stop being 16-year-olds. I'd like to see women get equal pay.
Donald Trump says this was just locker room talk. This is just...
Yeah, it was locker room talk. But it's terribly destructive because they take the talk and they go out on the road and they do the talk.
So for him, you're saying it was not just locker room talk?
No. Oh, no. No.
What you're saying he did, do you think he would believe that's sexual assault?
Probably not. He probably thinks that his attentions are welcomed and that he is the big dog in the room. And so he gets the attention. He likes to have beautiful women around him, and that's the way he behaves.
And I'm just trying to imagine sort of all the possible things that somebody who's seeing this who might support Trump might say, that you didn't notify the flight attendant or
Correct.
complain to the person across the way.
Correct. It was then, the time and the place, as I said, that wasn't even possible. That wasn't even considered. It never entered my mind to complain.
That says a lot. The one other Donald Trump has come forward and said a couple things, nothing about you in particular, but I just want to read you some of the things he has said just today, and if you have any comment to them. At a campaign event, he said, "These vicious claims about me are inappropriate." He said, "These vicious claims about me of inappropriate conduct with women are totally and absolutely false, and the Clintons know it, and they know it very well. These claims are all fabricated. They're pure fiction. They're outright lies. These events never, never happened."
Why in the world he would blame the Clintons for it is phenomenal, but that's his wall of protection. This is how he is coping with the fact he's completely rejecting the reality.
Another thing he said is, "Take a look at these people, you study these people, and you'll understand also."
Yes, that was one of the reasons why I pulled out my pictures to show, because I'm 74 years old, and for him to now look at me at this age, he would never even give me the time of day. But I wanted people to know what I looked like when I met him.
Because you thought he would comment on your look.
Yes, I knew he would comment on my looks.
And at another event, at the same event today, he said that he has substantial evidence to dispute these lies, and he plans to make it public.
Good luck. I would think that he should be more worried about the current allegations of people from the past 10 years than he would worry about something 35 years ago. As I said, 35 years ago, this was somewhat acceptable behavior.
A reporter from People magazine has also come forward saying that he assaulted her. He said about that, "Take a look, you take a look at her words, you tell me what you think. I don't think so, I don't think so."
Mm-hmm. Well, it's all in the looks, except for the fact that when push comes to shove, it's like the song, I'm not near the girl I love the girl I'm near. So if he can't have a model, he'll take whatever he can get.
You believe that?
Yeah, I do. I do. But his dismissal that somebody is unattractive is, again, a serious form of discrimination. Very few people in this world are beautiful. Most of us just get by with being presentable and trying to keep clean and neat. So his dismissal of people like Carrie Fiorello from the Fiorina, you know, that was an awful statement. That, look at that face.
No doubt, I mean, Donald Trump has said, and many from the campaign have said, that this is politically motivated. That you, maybe there's some tweet was sent out, some organization said that your phone number was the same as the Clinton Foundation phone number.
Yes, my daughter told me that. Yeah, I have no idea how if it is. Certainly, I hope they've been getting half of the phone calls that I've been getting, because that would be a lot of phone calls.
Do you have any connection with the Clinton
No.
campaign? Have you ever donated to the
No.
Clintons?
Well, yeah, I donated something like $5 to get a button. Yes.
A button for
Hillary.
Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
And is that the only donation you've made to
the Clintons? Yes.
or the foundation?
Or the foundation.
Have you been in contact with the campaign at all?
No.
Is that something you would want to start doing, going out on the road in any way with the campaign?
Well, this is getting so down and dirty that you know, you sort of want, gee, I would like to do something, but that's not my inclination. I vote for dog catcher. I vote for everything, primaries, whatever it is. I vote because my grandmother was a suffragette, and her you know, ghost is in the background. You better go vote, girl. So, but no, I've not. I follow politics. I'm interested in politics, but I've not participated in it.
Just to go back to the event at Saks, when he saw you, is there any, you absolutely don't want to say what he said to you?
Not. It was like a bucket of cold water being poured over me. But no, I really think. I think possibly that would infuriate the whole situation that much more, and I'm not so sure we need to put any more fuel on the fire. And hopefully the fire will go away. You know.
You're hoping this dies down for you?
I'm expecting it to, yes, because as I said, I think Trump's organization or Trump himself will come up with some other blockbuster that will occupy the media. He's very good at that.
But it's interesting to me that you don't want to use the word.
Well, as I said, I don't want to put any more fuel on the fire, and it's just, I think I've insinuated enough of what an insult it was, that that's enough.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I really hope by Monday all of this is blown over. I really do, but I also hope that that anybody and any woman who has a story to tell, that they get an opportunity to get it off their chest, and get an opportunity to express their outrage. That maybe it will start a dialogue and we'll make some progress on this issue, because we're all in this together, men and women.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us. Just ahead, more of what Donald Trump said today on the campaign trail about the women who are claiming he sexually assaulted them as the allegations build and his poll numbers take a hit. He's digging in. A lot to discuss with the panel. We'll be right back.
At any time, because that is when our country started turning around and being great again.